Welcome back to Gioconda IT Word 2010. This session we're going to take a first look at tables. Tables are available through the Insert ribbon. So let's actually get set up a table. Here's the Insert ribbon, and you can see just in there is the table icon. So if I click on that, I'm presented with a grid array, and that's quite handy for quickly creating a table. You can see as I move through the rows and columns, the table is illustrated in the background there. Well, that's fine up to a point. You can go, as you can see, up to 10 by 8 on this table, so that's 10 columns and 8 rows. If you want more than that, or if you want to do something slightly different, then you can click on the Insert Table button below the grid. So I'll do that now. Now here you can actually type in the number of columns and rows that you want. The first thing to say here, of course, is there is a limit, obviously, to the number of columns you can have. In fact, it's 63 or thereabouts, but I don't want that many. I'm only going to use four columns and 4 rows. So number of columns 4, number of rows 4. I can do some other things in terms of arranging the size of the cells that will create, but we'll ignore those for the minute. Okay, so there it is. I've created my 4x4 table. The table in itself doesn't mean anything, so let's give it some meaning. I'm going to create a sales sheet. So to do that, I'm going to put the months of the year, first 3 anyway, in the first row. So let's do that. January. Press the tab key and it jumps to the next cell. Tab key again. And February, March. And we're going to have 3 things in the rows. The first one is going to be the hardware sales. So I'll use H/W to represent hardware sales. And below that, so I can either click below or press the down arrow key. Type in S/W for software. So we're looking at hardware and software sales for a company. And then, of course, at the bottom we'll have the total sales. Okay, so let's put some figures in there. And I'm going to use the pound sign. And in previous versions of Word, if you wanted to do any calculation at all with within a table, then you'd have to leave the pound sign out because it would require just numbers. But with Word 2010, they've got rid of that with the pound sign. So let's put some figures in. 250, right off the top of my head, no meaning at all. 3, 2, 75, and 350. Oops, forgot to say that. Okay, there we go. So that's our first column, our hardware sales. And now we'll have a look at the software sales. 20 pounds. Okay, so there's the hardware and software sales. Now, before we go any further, especially with financial stuff like this, it's often very difficult to keep your eye on the line. So one of the nice features of Word, as long as you type somewhere in the table, you can create some styles which make it much easier to read financial stuff. And you can see I'm just drifting through the style tables at the top, and now I should have mentioned earlier that when you create a table, you get these table tools, and this is the design side of it. You've also got the layout side, which allows you to to do some extra things. And in fact, we're going to need this now, because what I want is I want to put a title above the first row. And I also want to do some calculations. Let's do the calculation first. What I want to do is add these two numbers up, and there's a very neat trick for that. If I go over to the data control and click formula, whoops, before I do that, I'll click in the row that I want to do the calculations. I'm going to add 250 and 90. So now I can go over to the data control, click formula, and you can see it comes up with sum above. So it's a little bit like Excel. It tries to remember, tries to think what you want to do. And I'm going to click OK there, and it's added those two up. As I said, with earlier versions of Word, you couldn't have included the pound sign. Let's go to the next column and add those over to the data control, click formula, accept the formula that comes in. Obviously, there are a lot more things you can do, but we're just adding these two up in a minute. Data control, formula, sum above, and there we go. So our table is starting to make some sense. Let's put that title in. Well, I want to add a new row above this one here. So first of all, I'll just click in that row. And again, we notice we're in the layout tab, layout ribbon of the tools, the table tools. And we've got the insert buttons here. So I want to insert above. So click on that. That gives me another 4 columns. Now I don't want those 4 columns. I only want one. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to merge those 4 into one. So I click on the first column and I drag the pointer across. So I select all the columns I want to merge. And now merge control, I click the top one and I merge them. So I effectively get one cell out of the 4. Well, let's put a title in there. Sales quarter 1, and let's center that. So I'm centering it, go to the home tab and clicking on the center icon. There we go. And let's make it bold. And similarly for January, February, and March. Those bold, they'll stand out a little better. And hardware, software. Oh. Okay, so there we are. We've got a table laid out. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. I hope you enjoyed looking at that. Thanks.